Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Agent's Edge. My name is Ryan Palomini. Today we're going to change the topics up a little bit. We're going to talk about the worst business advice that I've ever gotten. Now, it's funny because over the last decade of me being in business and going through a lot of ups and downs, making a ton of mistakes, I look back over the last 12 years of being in business and realize that a lot of mistakes came from poor advice that I got early on. Now, again, what I want to do is I want to help you kind of avoid some of these common mistakes and kind of get through some of the worst advice because maybe you're getting it too. And this comes with a word of caution of be careful who you're mentored by. Okay, so number one, and a lot of you have heard this, and there's a little bit of seriousness to this, but fake it till you make it, right? How many of you have heard that? You gotta fake it till you make it. Well, yes and no. I'll tell you right now, because there comes a point where you have to stop faking it and just make it, right? If you have to keep faking it and faking it and faking it, look, maybe you're not in the right business. Maybe you're not getting the right advice. Maybe you're doing something that's not working. Because I get faking it till you make it kind of early on where, maybe you haven't had the success, but you know you're getting there, or maybe you're kind of on the journey to getting there. But if you continuously have to keep faking it because you're not making it, that's that time where you have to have that kind of serious conversation with yourself going, is this really working? I've been at this for 4 years. I'm no further ahead than where I was when I started, a few years ago. Is it the right opportunity for me? And look, I've had to have that conversation 2 times over the last decade. I started in network marketing, and man, I was so excited to be in network marketing, so excited to be around the heat and be around all these really positive people. And it was a great experience, and I was faking it like I had everything, and I was broke. Right? And so I had to, after 4 years of being broke and being in that situation, I had to say, look, maybe this isn't the right opportunity. Let me go out and find something else. Same thing happened when I was starting in the insurance industry. I was faking it, barely kind of getting ahead. Everybody thought I had it all, but I really didn't. And that where's that conversation again going, all right, let's find the next opportunity. Let's find what I'm really passionate about, and that was more on the financial planning side. So again, be careful with the fake it to make it. Again, do it for a short period of time if you have to, but again, you got to make it at some point. All right, now this one, believe it or not, after a decade of doing this, I was recently talking to somebody who's pretty wealthy, and I asked them, give me some business advice. What was it that really kind of helped you? And this almost goes back to the fake it till you make it, but the advice was, Ryan, it's not about what you have. It's about what people think you have. And I got to tell you, I was absolutely dumbfounded when I heard that person say that to me. I was like, wait a minute. It's not about what you have. It's about what people think I have. And I look back at it now, and again, this is really not to brag or to, any other way, but I've been able to build a multi-million dollar business without showing off, right? There's nothing that I have that I show off about. And it's funny because I was able to make it without that. So again, take things like that with a grain of salt. That does go kind of back to fake it till you make it. And again, it worked for that person because they're wildly successful, but they also do like to be pretty flashy. So it depends on your personality and how you want to be. All right, now this was really early on in my career. This was one of those things where when I didn't understand finances and I was blindly following somebody who I thought was successful at the time, come to find out really was faking it till they made it, or they had success at one point and really had lost it all. And I remember sitting down and have a conversation with this person who was on stage as a $1 million income earner. Again, take that with a grain of salt too. $1 million income earner. And I remember having the opportunity to spend an afternoon with this person. I was driving them to an appointment and a meeting. And we were talking about money. We were talking about, how did you get it? How did you, what do you do now that you have it? And he said, Ryan, let me tell you something. When you have cash, you don't need credit. And I thought about that. I was like, if I have cash, I guess that kind of makes sense. Until you realize that if you don't have credit, you can't do anything in life. So here I am. I didn't have cash, by the way, but I was like, okay, cool. If I don't really need credit, let me go rack up the credit cards. and just really build my business on the credit cards. And don't get me wrong, if that's what you have to do, it's what you got to do. But understand that credit is incredibly important when it comes to business and in life. Because once I maxed out those credit cards early on, I didn't have the cash to pay them off, and I got into a terrible financial situation in my early 20s because I was just spending on credit cards going, I don't care about credit, I don't need credit because I've got cash. Not going to really do you too good. That was terrible advice that I got. So what I'm going to tell you, if you're watching this, as you're watching this, is you need to have credit. Do not burn your credit early on, because if you have to go get a small business loan and your credit is shot, you have no chance of getting that loan. And it's funny now because here we are 12 years later, and I have investors coming to me that want to throw money at our business. It's very different when I first started, but that's because the credit is phenomenal and we have cash on reserves. So early on, be very smart with your money. And this goes to what I talk about a lot too, and almost going back to that stupid fake it till you make it. Listen, as you begin your business and as you start making a little bit of money, be smart with your money. Do not go out and buy the BMW. Don't go out and buy the Mercedes and all these, the watches, the fancy watches and all this crap that people spend money on thinking that you look cool because you have all this stuff. Meanwhile, you live in your mama's basement. I mean, let's be real. Too many people, all these gurus you see on the internet that are flashing all this crap, they either got it because they sold something to you. They've never really built a business, let's just be real, but they built a coaching program that you bought into, right? And they go out and they blow the money on cars to make it look like they have more, so you keep coming back to them. Don't fall into that trap, and don't be one of those people. Because I'm promising you, somebody like me who has actually had success, I'll see right through it. If you come to my office, you come to pitch me something, I will see right through the BS, and so will most successful people. Right? I know Grant Cardone says you can fake a Lambo, but you can't fake a jet, right? I mean, there's levels of success that you can no longer fake, and anybody can have a car payment. There's nothing impressive about that. So be smart with your money. Invest back into your business until you can afford to pay things for cash, right? I didn't buy my first decent car until I could pay cash for it. Because a car's not going to make you money. Your skill set and your infrastructure and your staff and your ability to go out there and solve problems is actually what makes you money. So I know that's a long-winded explanation for credit versus cash, but my point is in business, make sure you're being smart with your money. All right, now, this one early on really got me, and this is, as you get started, I know it's important to, again, almost kind of look the part, right? Fake it till you make it, go to all these different things, but I remember early on, one of my mentors had came to my office. Now, if you ever know where I started in New England, started my business. I lived in Connecticut, was living in Rhode Island at the time. I'd moved to Rhode Island. And I had this little rinky-dink office. And I was paying $200 a month. It was probably 100 square feet, if that. I had enough space for a desk and a chair, right? I had just started, had absolutely no money, but couldn't work from home. And I knew I had to get to that mentality of go out and kind of get an office to have my own separate work environment, make me kind of feel like a business owner. And I was doing well. I was starting to have a little bit of money in the bank because I didn't have these big expenses, that a lot of people take on early on. And I remember one day, my mentor at the time came over to my office and looked around and kind of in a disgust because, again, my office wasn't in the best neighborhood. It was above a barber shop. The music was going all the time, which I actually loved. I thought it was a fun environment to be in. But it wasn't as professional as probably a insurance person or financial advisor should have been in. But I didn't have any money for anything different. And I remember my mentor coming in and going, Ryan, there is nothing impressive about this office. And it really deflated me at the time. And I made this stupid decision, instead of saying, well, I'm going to stay here as long as possible, stack a bunch of cash, and then when I can afford a better office, I'll go out there and invest in that. But what I did was do the complete opposite because I was deflated because someone gave me advice that this office isn't impressive and you should be doing more. I went out, got a big office that I could not afford, a rent that I couldn't afford, electric that I couldn't afford, internet, and every single month I was just struggling and dying to pay the bills. That was really early on in my career, and it actually cost me because that kind of stress doesn't allow you to think clearly and have clarity in your business as a business person, right? You start making stupid decisions because all you're trying to do is make money to pay your bills versus stay small for a little bit longer, stack a bunch of money, take the financial stress off of you, and then go and invest in things. Like in our office now, like the studio that you see me in, folks, this is 12 years in the making. I don't want you to think this is an overnight success. What you see around me and behind me, which I know you can't see the whole studio here, but this type of investment didn't happen day one. This is 12 years. So again, be smart about what you're doing in business. You hear me talk about run your business in phases. Focus on the first phase, next phase, and so on and so forth. Okay, now, this one I want you to kind of think about in two different ways. And this is the last one that I'm going to tell you. You need to spend a ton of money on marketing to get ahead. Now, there is a lot of truth in you needing to invest in your business and marketing because marketing is the most important part of your business, whether you're buying leads, whether you're doing radio, TV, seminars, all those things. However, let me give you just one tip of advice. Relationships are just as valuable as you spending a ton of money on a radio program or you spending a ton of money on a seminar platform. And let me give you an example of what I mean. You hear me talk a lot about the niche market that I'm in the federal space. That niche market happened because, yes, I spent a little bit of money early on when I was doing seminars, but while I was doing those seminars, I really focused my time on building relationships with the right type of high-level executives. And what that allowed me to do was build relationships with HR directors that run different hospitals throughout Virginia. And what did that allow me to do? That allowed me to have that relationship and them bring me into the hospital and promote my events for me. So think about this. Can you imagine if on average you were spending $5,000 to $6,000 per seminar, but you could build a relationship with someone who did all the marketing and promotion for you and put more people in front of you than you were when you were spending $6,000. Imagine that. See, that's what took my business to absolute new heights. It wasn't that I started doubling down on my spending. It was I focused more on building relationships that brought me into different situations that allowed me to see more people, but they did the promotion for me. Now, we are in 3 different VA hospitals. So again, working with the federal system, I have 3 HR directors that promote my events for me. Oh, and by the way, because of that consistency over 4 and 5 years of doing the right things, that led me to a contact at NASA, and now we do workshops for NASA. I have yet to spend $1 promoting events to NASA. The HR does it for me. Could you imagine that in your business? My marketing budget is slim to none, and we are more profitable and we're doing more sales than ever before. So again, yes, there is truth in you spending money in marketing. I think especially early on, your job is to create an explosion in your business. So you may have to dump a bunch of money in, but over time, if your marketing budget isn't shrinking and your profits are growing, that's a problem because you're not spending time creating relationships. What you're doing is just chasing the next lead. A lot of you watching this are in the mortgage protection, final expense, Medicare, and you're lead, and that's all you're doing. You're spending, $8,000, $10,000 a month on leads. Don't get me wrong, if you're doing that and you're making a great living, keep doing what you're doing, but at what point are you able to pull the marketing budget back or keep spending the same amount of money, but double your sales revenue because you're creating better relationships? So again, folks, I wanted to make this video a little bit different than the normal because I want you to understand these things will have an effect on you. And this all comes down to you personally having the right mentor, the right business mentor in your life to help get you to the next level without giving you the crappy advice. All right. I hope this has been helpful for you. Remember, like the video, write a comment, subscribe to our channel. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of The Agent's Edge. Listen, if you've ever want to take your business to the next level, you want to write over $5 million a year in life insurance, assets under management, big whole life cases, click the link below to get access to Level Up Advisors Academy. Listen, this is a 24/7 on-demand platform for you to be able to learn and grow on how to take your business to the next level. I look forward to working with you in the future.